So welcome everyone. Really happy that Daniel found the time to join us. So I'm really much looking forward to this review of your final table. After you finish this, I will not spoil something yet, but there were a lot of talking, some crazy hands in the heads up, maybe some clicking battles. So guys, I think you can expect some pretty hot stuff. I've prepared 11 hands for this session. That is our tournament structure. Let's put it in the top left. Okay, Daniel, I have two spots that started actually before you were on the final table. Those were like, I think, interesting or difficult situations where I also wanted to start having your opinion. So I think this is 2 or 3 tables left, around 12 to 18 players here, and you had pocket checks. So tell us what is in your mind what are the options in your opinion when you face a raise here from the big stack?
Yeah, but normally I'm gonna induce with a 3-bet not all in. So even, Jack's BVB is more than strong enough, and if we had 2 or 3 tables left, not gonna be when ICM is not, it's like almost not there, right? So want to go for the maximum. Double up here would be huge. If I can induce him to 4-bet or something.
All right, that's what you did. You made a 3-bet to 8 big blinds and you got the flat. And then it's a board where we can say, damn, that's exactly what you don't want to see, right?
Yeah, I see that. But the thing is, he's gonna shove. He's not gonna have ace queen, right? Ace king, ace jack. I think they're gonna jam free. Some suited ace 5 suited hands. I think they might still find some of those to a 4-bet jam. Yeah. So I think still we have a range c-bet here, BBB. For smaller size, I don't see any bigger size gonna accomplish anything.
All right, that's what you did. You got the call. And now you improved, I could say, but the question is like against what? You got some more equity, but there's a good chance that you don't have the best hand at this point, right? He could have, of course, 9-8 suited.
Yeah, king 9 suited, there's still a few hands. Combination we still beat.
Now when I see this, do you see any way of like semi-bluffing this hand? Like, what about trying to get the queen 7 suited to fold, or it's too optimistic?
I don't think it's the best way because I don't want to bet fold this hand now. We're gonna give up a lot of turn equity here, right?
True, and this is actually hard to make non-all-in sizes at this point.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? You're gonna bet 4.5 big blind, 5 big blind or something maximum, right?
You went for the check back as you mentioned. Now that's what you're facing here.
That's the question. It doesn't look strong to me. Why would you bet 2 big blind? It's likely a queen X, right? It could be a weak or some kind of suited weak ace, I would assume. And it's not going to be an air queen. It's not going to bet 2 big blind with a queen. Doesn't make sense. There's going to be some kind of suited ace almost every time. So I folded it. If I have a straight right on turn, I'm going to be c-betting the turn. That's the thing. Turning this into a bluff now is going to be hard, right? I don't think I'm going to get credit too much.
Yeah, basically what you represent, I believe, is if you're jammy, is the river at 10. That's pretty much what you represent.
So it's very thin if I start jamming now. But how should he be bluffing with this size? He's not bluffing with 2 big blind.
I think queen check could be with this 2BB size is possible. But then in the end, it doesn't mean that you can call because he's ahead anyway. This is our final hand before the final table. And I also think that's quite a wild hand. So I really wanted to hear your thought process on that one. That's 2 tables left. It starts with a standard open, of course, from you in the low jack, the big blind defense. And now what is happening is you start with a small c-bet and you get a click back. And at this point, I'm pretty curious.
I've been playing a lot of this guy, and this guy is capable of everything.
Now you already shared, okay, it's a very, very capable player. Still, like, what is it that you're thinking when you have this click back? What you put him on?
I can have flush draw, straight draw, gutter draw, something, a 10-9 suited, a jack-9 suited, ace backdoor draw, stuff like this. Yeah, and also he can, of course, have top pair weaker. When I'm doing this click move back, I'm thinking they're not gonna credit me if I have a strong hand, so there's a chance he's gonna end up making a mistake, I think, in later streets.
I see, because that's exactly what you did. I'm like, does he have the ace when he just makes a click back? I'm a bit unsure about that. But then you like kind of re-clicked it, and for me it's like, it's pretty dry board out there, but you make such a small click. But yeah, it makes sense if you say as many gut shots or like even back to hard type hands, queen check with 1 diamond, all those hands, they have almost 0 equity against you, so you don't need to go big. Okay, but now you get the call, so we can already exclude some of the very optimistic bluffs that he might have had because he's calling you. So he's calling you, action goes to the turn where that flush card completes, and now he is leading.
Saying, like I shared before, the guy is capable of everything. So you can, I mean, I don't think he's gonna have an ace, but there's always a chance he's gonna turn something into a bluff. That's just one of what's on my mind here. And yeah, of course, the putters is what they are. They're good to call, and I don't think we should be folding.
Are there opponents where you would end up folding in this line?
Yeah, easily. Yeah, you cannot compare because my game is always based on the opponents I'm playing. If I'm playing Wuston, I'm playing Romanowski, I'm playing Malacca style, Johan Dominguez, those three I would mention as the most aggressive and toughest opponents playing at 10Ks. So you need to understand what they are capable of doing. So if I'm gonna fold ace queen here as default every time against I'm playing him, he's gonna destroy me.
Let's take a look what happened. You made the call and he had 8-7. Guys, we kick it off here, final table. First hand of the official final table in a 10K Super Tuesday. As you see on the left, there are 7 places paid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players paid. And at this point, there are 8 players left. So right now, it's direct money bubble. And action is folded to you. You're actually the chip leader on this table at this point. And you have a pretty garbage hand. So on your direct left, you're actually playing here against David Peters. What is it that you think are the options here, or what was on your mind when you faced that spot on the direct bubble?
I see there's a short. I think this hand might at least should be open jam, right? I see there's a 10 big blind stack. I'm got a 5 big blind stack, so his calling range is gonna be very, very tight here. One away. The min cast is 2.8x, so that's a bigger one. So for me, it's just a jam. You should jam very wide here.
That's what you did here. And I asked the solver, what do you think? Is Daniel right here with his assumption? And solver could not agree more with you. So it's about 80% jam with 20% mix of the garbage hands and a little bit of inducing. And 10-4 actually is mainline in the jam. So perfectly as you played it. Okay. Actually, the final table, it's not a very typical final table, let me say it like that, because you really didn't have much interesting after that. So it was the bubble, and after that, when you start had interesting hands again, it was when all the other players busted. So of course, by now we are already $90,000 secured. This is the first hand that really catched my attention here. You have pocket aces. But as always, they don't always play themselves. We often have different options in the hands. So this is what you faced here. You opened and you faced the 3-bet.
I don't think we should be doing any clicking back here. That would be stupid. Keep his bluff in. I'm still gonna call some broadways. We need to balance that with also calling hands like aces.
What I think is also interesting, and also seen that you mentioned it on the stream, often you say with ICM, when we're in the shorter area already, we don't really want to flat much anymore. But here now you just said, oh well, you think the only option is like flat. So
yeah, because we
what about that?
But we are in position, yeah. I mean, you know that when you're playing out of position by ICM, this kind of stack size, 20 below 30 big blind, you're not really flatting more much. Often around 1% or something or less. But here we are 3-handed, so and win position. So I think this is just gonna be the call.
That's what you did, keep his bluffs in. Actually, the solver seems to really still like. I mean, the flat is fine. It's not like it's a problem, of course. Also performs really good in dollars. It's still interesting. There's not really much call happening, even though we are in position, as you mentioned, and everybody is in the money. But it seems like the jam with a lot of the suited broadways, suited king check suited, it's still the better option. We just have so much fold equity against his loose range that solver prefers that kind of. You went for the call, but the head doesn't stop being tricky, because even at this point when he makes the c-bet, I again have more than one option in my mind. But tell us, Daniel, what is it that you had on your mind?
I think we're still gonna be calling here most of the time, right? Look at the SPR, it's gonna be like 1 on turn, right? So it's gonna be easy to get it in. But again, it's also a draw heavy flop. That's an issue. I think it can go both ways basically on the flop if you want to raise. Yeah. I think without a spade might be just better to just raise. Might even be the all-in.
The all-in was an interesting option to me. Like, of course he could have complete super low equity hands, ace-3 offsuited, or like king 4 of clubs. So it's tempting to keep those in. On the other hand, the pot is kind of big, 18 big blinds. It's a huge chunk if you're able to get it down, take it down. If he had a hand like queen jack offsuited, I mean, he still has to call you kind of. So
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting option to just push here. You went for the call, yeah. You did bet small, you got the call. And yeah, as played, you shoved it in the end.
There's no alternative, yeah.
All right, so basically you doubled up in this hand. So you open the button, small blind folds, and a big blind decides to make it 5 big blinds over here.
Yep, and then Smilkovic, I'm pretty sure, and this guy is capable of doing a lot of stuff. So I think his stack is just going in here. The stack size at 18 looks like a simple decision for me.
Right, and the solver could not have agreed more with you. He said like, Daniel, you're the living solver over here. We can see it here. Ace Jack is the one that almost has pure all in, but if you had Ace 10, then Solver didn't like it that much anymore. But like Ace Jack, Ace Queen are really like the prime candidates for doing it. Let's take a look at what could his bluffs be here at this point. He still has some of the offsuited Ace X that he could bluff, Ace 2s, Ace 6, Ace 3.
A little bit of King X, and I think he's gonna be finding some of those, this guy. I'm pretty confident about it.
All right, so you pulled the trigger. Smilkovic called here, and you actually won the flip here. So you're starting the heads up as a small chip leader. It's a pretty intense heads up between you and Samuel Woostner. It's not the very first hand of the heads up, but it's the very first hand where something like significantly happens. Okay. You start with a limp. I assume you play a mixed strategy with raises and with limps?
Yeah.
Okay. So you start with the limp. He isolates 4 big blinds. You call it in position, of course. Pretty good flop for us. Is there much alternative to you, or like just the main line?
I don't think there will be a lot of raising in position. Yes, mainly when playing out of position, I think it's going to be low frequency raise. Okay. Maybe 5% or less.
Went for the call. He checks to you. You decided to bet third pot. You got a call, and now you are on the river. Of course, must be nice having quads there, but the other challenge is getting paid the quads.
It's not easy to get paid. Maybe I went too greedy here. I mean, but of course, now I'm thinking about it inside. I mean, he's not going to give me credit for making crazy bluffs. He might still think I'm shoving a king for value. And if he got a king, what are you supposed to do? I mean, you have to call, right?
I mean, I believe it could be possible with like, I'm not sure if he would do that, honestly. But like you said, you think he will underestimate you. So then he just maybe could find a hero fault, but on the other hand, you have so much stuff like 10-9 suited, like all the hands with like backdoors, 9-7 suited, Jack 10 suited, Queen Jack suited. I mean, you have to bluff some of them, so I'm not sure if he can really fold the king. Then we're going to the next hand. I would assume that a lot of our audience right now, they haven't really played much heads up in their career. So Daniel, I think this is a hand where you can explain maybe some of your general concept here when you play heads up. How do you do it when you face limps? It's very, very common, and we see that you took a very, very bad hand here and actually raised it up. So I thought maybe that's an opportunity where you can talk a little bit about your strategy here.
It's just, I mean, I think you're going to be icing around 40% or something, 35 to 40%, and need to be. Of course, now we're deeper, so now we could even be ISOing, I mean, all the Broadway suited and stuff like this, calling a 3-bet easily. It's more when getting shallow. But yeah, we need to have something from the bottom range and then the top range. And then we're gonna take a lot of back in the middle range. Is a lot of suited hands. Like, we're not gonna start ISOing like Queen 8 suited, Queen 7 suited, Queen 6 suited.
I got it. So if we were to create a range quickly, you say like you isolate like the top cards, of course. Then you don't take the middle ones, 7s, 6s, okay. Then of course the strong Broadways, all of them. And then you take the trash, like offsuited a lot, like 9-2, 7-3, maybe 5-2, Queen. What about those hands? Like also some King 5? Or?
Yeah, some off. Yeah, no, I'm normally just taking them back. I mean, that's too strong.
Okay, so
like the
just in this kind of weak area somewhere over here, right? That's already interesting to see. So everyone watching us now is, I think, you might miss some aggression versus limps, because exactly what Daniel described here, this is not only happening in ICM and in heads up, this also happens in a normal game. If you play just early stage, you're chippy V, you face a limp from the small blind, you're big blind. That's also exactly how it works. We are isolating trash hands and we're isolating good hands. So in those kind of spots, we really polarize strategy. Daniel highlighted here as well. So that's something I think you should apply to your game as well. Good. Next bigger hand upcoming here. You're limp and now you face a very big isolate that some players don't have in their game here. How do you think about it if you face this big isolate?
I think it can be more ISO sizes. Yeah, you can be raising 3, 5, 7 in this area, mix it up. Not gonna be aces, right, with 6 big blind, but it's gonna be a lot of them. It could be ace, king, ace, queen, ace 10, maybe pocket 8s, 7s, 8, 9s, ace 10s, maybe. And then trash, like I'm describing myself, how I'm doing it.
Yeah, I mean, you described he is one of the more aggressive players, so I think good chance that he's able to do it with trash. All right, you're calling in position, 9-7 suited, even though the isolate was very big, but like you're in position, you're suited, connected, you're not letting it go. And then you flop something. A little bit, at least.
Yep.
We could already think maybe there's a chance to bluffing the diamond runouts. Yes, we don't have them, true, but still, like, flush card is typically good for us as the caller, so he checked to you. When I'm in the spot objectively, I could see myself over bluffing a lot, you know. You decided to check it back, but how do you approach a spot like that?
I mean, now we're looking into a big ISO size of 6 big blind. I think he's going to expect my range is slightly stronger than normally. What do you expect? But now we look at the SPR. I mean, for me, it would suck now to float bet the turn small and he jam. And now I have to give up my flush draws on turn. So that's one of the things. But I've still balanced enough to check back some king x, ace x on turn. And then we can value bet the river still.
Right. So you check back, river completes the backdoor flush, and you face another check.
Now we're gonna bet. The question is the size. Maybe I was betting like half pot. It would make sense for me with an ace x. Jam 2 pair. Flushes jam. So I think you can have two bet sizes on river here.
That's exactly what you did. Around half pot, maybe 1.5 big blinds extra. And it worked out, actually. I can tell that's a sick hand. So you start with a limp. Everything calm, limp, check, nothing big happening, you know. You just make the step. Sure, you figure out, well, this board is way better for you than for him. When he checks back, so you just make the step. You get the call. Turn, you improve to a second pair. Do you consider to continue or there's no point?
No, for me, there's no point. I'm still going to beat king highs. And yeah, some other floats, you have a backdoors on the flop. And now it explodes. And I think, I mean, now I've been playing Woosten for quite some while. I know he's the guy who's gonna find, I mean, all the value bets, all the light value bets, also with bigger sizings. I've been playing also hands against him. I don't know if it was early in this heads up or 300 or something where I've been slow playing spots where he saw it that I had a value. Like bet one flop, take back turn with a strong hand, and then suddenly raise river. So it's stuff like this I'm just taking advantage of.
Exactly, that's what you did. You did something that a lot of us are not capable of, like, pulling off here. And you're just like, I think I cannot call it profitably, but I mean, no. I have great blockers over there and have fun, Samuel, is basically what you told him here.
He doesn't have many ace-x, right? I mean, it's not too many pre-flop as well. And King Jack likely is just going for the ISO most of the time. So, yeah. Not to worry about his value range other than the Queen X.
Guys, are you ready? Now it's one of the sickest hands that I've seen in any heads up live or online. So it starts with just a raise. You could call here, but you decided, oh, I can also free bet. Is it something that you do with the offsuited King X, like blocking the high card or like?
Yes, yeah.
So now what is happening here is something that I don't think I really faced. Maybe some years ago in Hyperseed and Goals when some random players make those clicks. But now you know he's a good pro. He's a good and a successful pro. And he makes it click 4 bet with like almost putting in 40% of his stack. So at this point, I can honestly say I would be pretty lost what his range is at this point. And I cannot imagine what you were thinking. So maybe you let us know.
No, I mean, if you have aces, you know, all the top range is just kings. I don't believe he's going to put in. So the 4-bet range is going to be very thin. I'm saying, I mean, I don't know if he's going to put in with aces like that. I don't believe it's going to be wasted for him all the time, have the bluffs. So maybe he's doing this, I don't know, with kings, queens sometimes. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking, and then he just have a lot of trash offsuited hands. He's just doing it with. He's not gonna do it with ace-5 offsuit because he's just gonna fire it all in. So that's not the part of the range. So it's in between all this Queen X, King X, Jack X, 10X, even maybe some nine. I don't know, some in that direction, offsuited type of hands. Because all the suited hands he would just call my pre-flop. He's not gonna start clicking it back. That would be giving up too much equity here.
Alright, so all those thoughts you just said,
Yeah.
they ended up that you make a click 5 bet. So we're playing 25 blind poker, starting with a raise, but you were able to make small 4 bets and even small 5 bet folds at 25 big blinds. Actually, it worked. You read his mind here. He was like, you wouldn't play the strong hands this way. I don't believe it. I'm just clicking you and like click 5 bet and he folded. With that, we're actually joining the last hand. Limp bot.
Let's check back. Check back.
Check, check.
Complete normal. No reason to bet. Have plenty showdown value. He doesn't have any ace-x. I would open shop so many ace-x myself, so we're pretty easy showdown value. Also, he does. I mean, he doesn't have king high too much as well. He's gonna ISO jam it pretty. So the queen 6 is pretty good showdown value on this checking down. Now it's very interesting because, like I just shared, he doesn't have the ace. He's gonna be the guy who's. And he knew the same. I don't have days because I would have been all in pre-flop, right? At this deck size. So he can easily be value betting here with the worst hands, making this move. So for me, the easy part here is just to raise the turn and get it in. There's no other way. It's so strong hand.
And also many rivers, right? That you don't want him to see for free.
Exactly. There could be many ridiculous rivers.
And I remember Samuel tanked quite a while here at this point. He ended up shoving and yeah, I remember you like, snapped him. You're like already like, okay, if he jams, I'm like snapping it off. And what did he have? He had the 6. So what does it mean? Let's go back to our big shot. That actually meant that you just took it down. So everyone, if you want to rail Daniel's steep run as well as his other tournaments, Twitch, and his name is Daniel Petersen Poker.